Train the muscles, not the joints. So welcome back to another Natural Gallant bodybuilding vlog, and today I'm going to be training some legs, some chest, and some triceps. So it's kind of a weird mix of movements, but I decided to do a few extra movements. And shout out to Emily Blair there, who just got her shirt, the Train the Muscles Not the Joints tank top. So thanks a lot for ordering that and putting that picture up in the Facebook group there, Emily. And yeah, if any of you guys want to put your picture up there, I'll be happy to share you in one of my videos or whatever. Some of you might be shy, but I don't care. I'll put you in there anyway. No, I'm just kidding. I'll ask your permission first. But hey, today I'm going to train some legs. So as you can see, I'm doing some one-legged squats here. And I love one-legged squats because they really help you focus on really hitting those legs really hard. You know, you get the deep burn or the deep pull in the legs. And as you can see, my movements are pretty short. They're just small because I'm just going up and down. I'm just pushing off the hips, pushing off the ass and the hamstrings, and just up and down. I don't want to come forward and back. I find when you come forward and back, I start to have to balance, and then the hip, it comes in and it takes the tension off some of the muscles that I actually want to hit, such as the hamstrings and the glutes and the quads. So I find this is the perfect range. Now, if I want to get more of a squeeze up top, what I do is I do this on the Smith machine, but our gym has a horrible Smith machine. It's just like the shittiest Smith machine you've ever seen. Because it's got all this tension in there, so it doesn't allow an eccentric movement very well. It doesn't allow an eccentric contraction, which is where most of the results happen. So for you laymen out there, eccentric means when you lower the weight. If there's too much friction on a cable or a machine, what's happening is that you're not getting as much results, because when you lower the weight, that's where the breakdown of the muscle tissue happens, and that's where you get the majority of the results. Okay. So in this movement, I'm aiming for sets of 20, 20 to 30 reps. As I move up in weight, then those reps will come down. I'm going to go to 275 today because I feel pretty stable, but this is one of the best ways to build legs. So you guys out there that have lower back problems and you can still do a one-legged squat, say you can't squat because your lower back is sensitive, I highly recommend one-legged movements if you can do them. I know sometimes a lower back injury is just too extreme for you to even do one-legged movements, but I found this movement to be one of the most effective movements for building overall leg development, because your legs are the weak link in the movement. You know, that is what hits failure. Your hamstrings, your adductors, your glutes. And the difference between this one and a Smith machine one-legged squat is that on a Smith machine, you're not really using your adductors so much to balance or to stabilize. So it doesn't mean that this one is necessarily better, it's just different. So what I found was when I was doing the one-legged squats like this, free weight, I noticed that my adductor development got much better. So when I dieted down for contest, I started getting more muscle tone in my inner thigh. So if any women are actually watching this video out there and you want muscle tone on your inner thigh, this is the trick. This is the way to do it. These one-legged squats are unbelievable. You know, throw away the Thigh Master type thing or getting on that isolation machine for the adductors, the ones where you press the knees together, that stupid thigh machine or inner thigh machine. I find it's just the dumbest thing ever. I found more people injure themselves on that than anything. But the bottom line, this is a way better movement for overall muscle tone and development. So if you want inner thigh development, this is the exercise for you. Now, an interesting question that I can answer today that somebody asked me in the comments, and I was going to answer it in the Friday Q&A, but I thought, hey, this is kind of a relevant subject because you can see that I'm not squatting today. I'm doing one-legged squats, and then I'm going to be doing some leg presses. So obviously in my workouts, I do change my exercises around quite a bit. And I had somebody say, well, should I worry about that? I want to change my exercise around because I want to hit different parts, but isn't it like taking a break? Isn't it like I'm giving my muscles a rest? Like maybe they're not going to adapt anymore. Maybe they're not going to actually get bigger because I'm not forcing them to adapt. I'm actually giving them a rest. Well, the thing is, when you train chest and you just train it from another angle, you're still training the same rope. It's just you're pulling on it from a different angle, you know? So it's not quite the same thing as giving it a total rest, like say not training chest and training legs instead, you know? So as long as you're training the same muscle group or the same group of muscles, you're pretty much making the whole muscle adapt. And I think I'm being kind of clear about this, but the bottom line is that if you're training the pec and then you hit it on incline rather than decline, guess what? You're hitting a lot of the same muscle fibers, even though there is some difference between the two. There are some muscles that get hit differently, okay? So don't worry so much about changing your angles of attack. As long as you're training legs, you're still training legs. You know, if you're training lunges or squats or maybe walking lunges or leg presses or hack squats, you're still training legs. So just because you're varying up the exercises, it's not like you're not forcing your body to adapt. Your body is adapting, it's just that you're pulling on the muscle from different angles. And sometimes when you pull from a different angle, you will force the body to adapt even more so, because sometimes there are different fibers that you're hitting as well that you couldn't hit before, right? The other thing you might have noticed is that my left foot's turned in a little bit. Well, that's just because I find that it helps stabilize my balance, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes I have a tendency to move over to the right. I think I have a slight scoliosis in the back. A lot of people do have a slight scoliosis. It's very normal, and I do think that it does change the way one hip moves according to the other, but I'm always working on that, always working on trying to balance them out as much as I can anyway. Can't change the whole structure, just like I can't make myself into 7 feet tall as opposed to 5'8", but you know, you still work on the muscular imbalances anyway, so that's what I'm doing. So here I'm doing some leg presses. You see I just put 6 plates on there. It's pretty simple weight for me to do. It's not hard at all. And as you can see, I just come down to about 90 degrees at the knee. You can't really tell the angle from this side, okay? But even if it's a little bit less than 90 degrees, what I'm doing is I'm feeling myself into it. I always say follow the feeling, not the technique, okay? So I'm feeling where I feel the quad and where I feel the hamstring, but once I start to feel the stress jam into the hip joint or into the knees, I stop the motion, I stop going downwards, I stop eccentrically lowering the weight, and then I move up again. And I find that this piston type of movement really helps build quads. And it's funny, you know, I've had the benefit of having a twin brother. So one technique that my brother used to use, which looked funny, he used these really short reps on the leg press, and he just like pump out sets of 50, 60 reps, you know, and he'd get this massive pump, and then he'd go do front squats to stretch the front of his quads, and it would just tear them to pieces. So it's the pump and stretch principle. You can check that out in one of my videos. I actually talk about it. It's a really great technique. Nice and smooth up and down, no wobbliness, just keep it tight, right? Good. Slow enough, yeah. Just like a machine, constant motion, constant motion. Keep that butt down, okay? Keep that butt down, boy. Keep it. Yeah. So you might have been able to see what Wayne was doing wrong there. He was bringing his butt off the pad just a little bit because he's just trying to push off the knees. And this is the disadvantage of learning how to train legs on machines, is that people tend to push off the knees, and the hips are really where you should be pushing off of, okay? The hips are really what, you know, you're supposed to put weight over, because the hips are actually a stronger joint, and when you squat above the hips. You're not pushing just purely off the knees. You know, you don't push off the balls of your toes, you push through the heel of the foot and you push off the butt. That's why people practice, you know, with a box behind them and they sit on that and everything. It's actually just about getting correct form to learn with what muscles you should be pushing with. So this next set that Wayne will be doing, I'm going to try to keep his butt down a little bit more, and then you'll see there'll be a difference in how he feels it as well. Remember, so what you want to do is come down far enough that your bum doesn't feel like it wants to come off the thing, and you don't want your knees or your bum to be the weak link. You want just the belly, the muscle to carry all the tension.
You need almost like a belt on this thing.
Oh, well, just hold yourself down with your hands right on the handles. You just hold yourself down.
Huh.
Go slow if you need to. Just, you know, just keep it up. Yep, that's right. Just keep that tension on the legs, right? Make the legs the weak link. Good boy.
I felt that right up, right there.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. You see what I'm saying? Follow the feeling. Don't follow the technique. Follow the feeling, and that's what I mean about feeling. So I almost forgot to mention, this is my calf training. I did some calves after leg press. That's what I like about getting on the leg press machine. I can kind of get 2 for 1 here. So what I did is I just put 4 plates on there, and then I just stretch. And yeah, my movements are a little ballistic because the calves are ballistic in nature. You know, they are a jumping type muscle. So as long as you're warmed up, it's okay to, you know, jump up and down a little bit on them, as long as you're not stretching them too much. I mean, I wouldn't recommend relaxing and stretching all the way down to the bottom and, you know, doing ballistic movements or bouncing type movements, right? But because this weight is light, I find that it really helps me get that extra squeeze at the top. And I find just the constant tension. It's kind of like the piston type principle. I guess, you know, one of you guys actually pointed this out. You notice that my movements are like almost like a machine. That's kind of what I do. I find this efficient movement of back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth that really pumps that muscle constantly. It's like I'm pumping blood in there, and I'm really hitting fatigue as fast as possible. And hitting fatigue as fast as possible does cause a certain type of adaptation in the body, and I found that doing that, it really seems to really get a pump. So just so you know, there is about a minute or so rest, or 2 minutes at rest in between each set. It's just that I've cut it and edited accordingly, so it just looks like I'm constantly just going back and forth, you know, for 3 sets in a row. But I am taking about a minute to a minute and a half in between each set. Now, the other reason why I like the leg press type of calf raise is because when you're bent over, you stretch the hamstring, and the hamstring and the gastrocnemius, which is one of the calf muscles, are linked, okay? So when you bend over, you actually stretch the calves a little bit. You stretch one aspect of the calf, right? It's like this whole chain that is linked together. The gastrocnemius muscle actually helps bend the knee, right? So it assists the hamstring. So when you are, you know, your legs are almost straight and you're bent over, you actually stretch the gastrocnemius a little bit more. So I find this movement is like the donkey calf raise. That's why the donkey calf raise exists. This movement I find more effective at hitting the gastrocnemius, okay? So from there, I went over to do some chest, right? After doing some calves and some legs, I went to go do some dumbbell presses. And I really just wanted to do light, because after training legs, sometimes I find it's tough to get the blood back into the upper body. And knowing me, this is probably day number 4 or 3 in a row of doing chests, you know, so I'm basically just trying to pump the blood now back up into the upper body, right? Because I do the high frequent type training. I know some of you guys are doing the bro splits, and some of you guys are doing higher frequency training. And some of you have asked me, how do I split my workouts up? And I always make videos on this, but you can see just from watching my training vlogs that sometimes I go on instinct. Sometimes I say, okay, what do I have time for, you know? And what do I feel like doing? What really needs a pump? What haven't I trained for the last few days? What really needs to get more of a feeling of tightness or a pumpitude? Let's come up with the word pumpitude. You know, what needs pumpitude, right? So then I will train that muscle group, because I can feel it's almost like needing something. It's needing some sort of stimulus, right? So it's like babies crying for milk. I can actually hear them. I can feel them, you know? Like, so it's like, please feed me, you know? So I know that I need to feed them some reps, you know, to get them bigger. Ultimately, I just warm up 3 or 4 sets flat, and then I moved up to the hundreds here. I don't know if I went higher than this today. Maybe I went higher, maybe I didn't. This is footage from a few weeks ago, so that's why it's hard for me to remember. But the bottom line is that I'm just keeping that tension on the chest. Now, what I'm doing lately, and you've seen this in my real-time workouts, there's Wayne dancing in the background. I don't know what he's dancing to, but he's dancing. He's you know, I guess he didn't work hard enough on the leg press. I think that's probably what it is. He didn't do enough reps on the leg press. He still has lots of energy left over just to be dancing around the gym, right? So it must be those granola bars he hides in his bag. That's probably what it is. He's probably happy he got away with something. So yeah, no, I think I stuck to 100-pound dumbbells. And as you can see, I'm coming up all the way here. And then sometimes I'll find that range of motion that's a bit more of the sweet spot. And then I just pump, right? Again, the pumpitude. You know, I just do that piston type action where I just keep the tension on one aspect of my body, and I just want to keep that tension there and just hit failure as fast as possible. Now, of course, the first few sets, you want to make sure you're warmed up first before you start doing that. And once you're warmed up, then it's okay to speed up the reps, you know, because some of you are asking about rep speed. Rep speed is okay. You know, having a little bit faster reps, like power reps, is okay as long as you're warmed up. That's the most important thing, and you're not injured. If you're injured in that area, then I would totally advocate slower reps. And are slower reps safer? Yes, they are. Of course they're safer. Slower reps are definitely much safer than fast reps, but fast reps do have some affinity towards power and gaining strength. So you're gonna have to find your happy medium in that. It's not like there's just one way, and each person will have a different, I guess, speed that will be efficient for them, okay? So it has to kind of be in resonance with what's going on in your body at the time and what feels like it gives you the best pump. decided to go to incline skull crusher next. And as you guys have seen from watching my other vlogs, I'll do incline, sometimes I'll do flat. And a lot of times I've been doing a lot of cables for tricep lately, and I've been getting a lot of good results with that because I can change the angle so fast and do these giant type sets where I'm like hitting from above and then below and then from the side, and you know, so I'm enjoying the tricep work lately. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Sometimes, you know, when you train a muscle group, you just start to connect to it deeper and you start to find that sweet spot. And sometimes you'll find that certain muscle groups, you'll just hit that sweet spot and you'll start experiencing growth and some results. And then other body parts, it seems like it's almost like a dead zone, you know, where you're just not quite getting it. So all I can say is just keep the faith and keep going forward, and at some point something breaks where you break through a wall of illusion or numbness or whatever it might be, or lack of coordination, and then you do get some results. I'm just doing this because it actually gives me a little bit of a way of seeing as I'm progressing with what I'm eating to the time where I want to possibly compete. I don't know if I will or not, but I'm just trying to kind of see this body fat and everything kind of coming, you know. So you can't lie to yourself when you're on video, you know what I mean? You can't lie to yourself. In mirror you can kind of lie to yourself, but when you're on video you see it. You can kind of see, okay, there I get leaner, there fatter, there I need to gain some mass. So it's a nice place to not lie to yourself. So I had a bit of pizza tonight just to fill out a little bit. I didn't have any carbs most of the day. I just had protein. So basically going out to have some meat, and it wasn't quite so bad, even though it wasn't the greatest meal in the world. But it kind of, you know, offset a little bit. I wasn't taking in too many calories of energy. But it did make me feel pretty good in the gym. I was pretty pumped and had a good workout, but it's not something I would do every day, because if you're too pumped, you know, it's only a matter of time before you start to put on some body fat, right? So that's kind of the trick. You want to have enough carbs and enough protein and enough fat, you know, to make you feel like you can recover, but you don't want so much that you're fully pumped and then spilling over and having excess amount of energy, because then it'll just get deposited as fat, you know. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the workout, and thanks for tuning in. Go visit me at naturalgallantbodybuilding.com if you can, and take care for now. Oh yeah, and thanks for sharing my stuff.